Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Bush League Huddle Podcast. My name is Fabio. I am today's host, and I'm joined, as always, by Nak and Roger. We are the Bush League Huddle Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are episode 22. This is probably Taylor Swift's favorite episode because she's feeling 22. You know what I'm saying? Episode 22, ladies and gentlemen. More importantly, guys, football is back. We are on the verge of week one, finally, after so much time waiting, prepping, going over mock drafts, going over rankings. We're finally here, guys. I'm so excited. We got a nice Thursday night game with the Chiefs versus the Ravens. We got Friday night game, Green Bay versus Philly in Brazil. And this is the first...
This is Brazil.
This is Brazil. Like, what's his what's his name?
Vince.
No, but what's his?
I hope no one gets killed.
Toretto? Yeah, Dominic Toretto will be very proud right now.
You hope no one gets killed.
That would be very bad for the NFL.
Darius Slay is super excited to be going.
I'm sure he's not the only one.
Yeah, he's probably not. He's just the one that's the most vocal about it.
I'll say it again. There's games in Chicago. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure these guys will be very well protected.
I don't think Chicago is as bad as Brazil, quite frankly.
But yeah, number one crime capital.
Someone said Chicago's Baghdad, basically. I don't know if it was Donald Trump, but
they probably never been to Brazil. But all the same, super exciting. I'm also super excited to see our boy Scott Hansen on Sundays again.
Yes.
Guys, I love this weekend. I love this weekend because obviously NFL's back, college football's back, the U.S. Open. I know it's a football podcast, but I love the U.S. Open, and I love watching U.S. Open tennis while there's the 4 p.m. games. Usually the final is on at the same time as the 4 p.m. games. It's like a tradition for me. So I love this weekend. Summer is done, but happy that football is back.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, especially those days where, like, for those soccer fans out there where you're watching your EPL or your City A in the morning, and then you might have a little bit of an F1 race to tune into, and then you go right into 1 o'clock games, maybe on a Sunday.
It's nice having kids yet, eh? I haven't watched
what you're talking about.
This is the time of year where my wife despises me.
I've already had the conversation with Steph, and she's fully on board. I'm like, listen, I'm here, but like I'm not here. I'll take care of the dog and stuff like that, but I'm just.
Well, I know people. What they do is like, hey, like Saturday. I'm taking care of the kids. I'm doing everything. It's like a banked hour or banked hours. So that Sunday, it's like, hey, I did my part on Saturday. It's all you on Sunday. I'm just watching football.
I'm still lucky right now. My kids nap from like 1 to 4. So like 1 o'clock games, I'm usually not bothered. But like with Domenica now, it's coming to an end a little bit. But
I'm also excited for
them in the basement, man.
Oh, that's where I go. That's
basement.
That's right there. Right
toys, football in front. Have at it.
Yeah.
But I'm also super excited for the Sunday night games. Like, those Sunday nighters where it's like a little bit crispy outside. You open the window, it's nice and cool, and you're watching.
Nothing like it.
Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah. We're waiting all day for Sunday night. Thank you very much, Faith Evans.
For 9th straight year, Mrs. Carrie Underwood?
Mrs. Carrie Underwood, indeed.
Say Faith Evans?
I did.
Faith Hill.
That's who I meant, though, when I said
Faith Evans is Biggie's, right?
Yeah. Rest in peace, B.I.G. Moving right along then. So apart from the Scott Hansen thing that we're super excited about to see again. So I don't know if we touched on this last week, if it happened or not, but Brandon Aiyuk finally got signed. So he will be playing week 1, seems. Well, not seems, most likely. So that's finally a little bit of clarity on that 49ers situation. Actually, I'm going over the news right now. It's been 49ers heavy news in the last few days. We got Trent Williams that finally signed, right? So that's going to give a boost to the entire Niners offense. I saw a stat for I think it was Brock Purdy's record or completion or something like that when Trent Williams is in the lineup versus when he isn't, and it's like nothing against Brock Purdy, but you could just see how much having a solid left tackle really gives that protection to the QB and just organizes the offensive line completely. So that's going to be a big boost to the entire skill positions for the Niners in general. That's huge, and it was a 3-year. Someone correct me on this.
They just added
guarantees.
Is that what it was?
That's what he wanted.
There was no guarantees left in his contract, and they just added guarantees. So it's the same amount of years that he had left, but just added guarantees in the next 2 years, basically.
Yeah, and I also saw that they They renegotiated Debo's contract to free up some cap space for this year too. So I guess that's probably in conjunction with what happened with Trent Williams.
Yep.
But in
they restructured it. Yeah, they gave him it was all in signing bonus or something.
But rookie Ricky Pershaw got shot. I think it was accidental. I don't think they were necessarily aiming for him, but I think it was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But we wishing him speedy
apparently
recovery.
they were going after his watch.
They were going after his watch.
They were going after his Rolex.
He didn't want to
give it to them, so he got shot.
And he's already back. He was in the facility doing workouts.
Yeah. Well, apparently it was it went right through. It missed all major organs.
Yeah, he got super lucky, man.
Yeah. God bless. And Kyle Shanahan came out today on a press conference saying that they expect him to play at some point this year. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's really good.
You know what he's coming out to, right? When he comes out of that tunnel.
Many men. Many men. Well, Brian Robinson Jr. did that. Was it last year?
That was a sick
2 years ago. Yeah,
that was a
2
sick
years
clip
ago. His rookie season.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
It's a pretty sick moment.
Yeah, he's gone minimum 4 games, so we'll see after that. But I'm sure they're not going to rush him back in, especially now with Aiyuk back there.
No, there's really no need to be honest. Jamar Chase. So last week, actually, I dropped a little bit of news during the intro that Jamar Chase was practicing, and I think with Zach Taylor, the coach, says that they fully expect him to play week 1, and now he has not been practicing, still in street clothes, and his status for week 1 is basically unknown. And from my understanding, they're moving forward with the game plan as if Jamar Chase will not be playing.
So is that the only reason why he's not practicing? Is because they all assume that he was just going to be there?
But he's not practicing?
Because of that comment, because of Zach Taylor's comment.
Yeah, he just I guess he assumed, Zach Taylor himself probably assumed
is he doing this just because of that one comment? Or
you think Jamar Chase is just playing chicken right now?
There was reports saying he practiced, but he has not practiced.
Okay, he hasn't. Okay.
No. He has not practiced.
He was dressed for practice and doing some sort of individual drills, I believe.
Yeah, that's a hold-in. That's basically what people but he didn't practice when we mean practice, meaning with the team. So he didn't do any team drills. He has not done any team drills all year. And obviously, as petty as he is, I don't know if the rumors are true, but he apparently wants 1 penny more than Justin Jefferson.
So I believe the way it works within the CBA is if he misses games, then he starts getting fined. I don't think he's fined now because he's in the facility and he's holding it, as you said.
Exactly.
But once it would have been the same thing with Brandon Aiyuk. The way the CBA is you could hold in, won't fine you. You start missing games, you get fined. So we'll see where it goes. But I don't see the Bengals.
He's got a low base, Jamar. So if he starts getting fined, that salary is going to go down a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to miss his game checks, obviously, by not showing up to games and all that stuff. I believe.
No, I don't know how that works. Actually, yeah,
I think so.
Actually, yeah, you do. You probably do miss a
he misses his game checks for sure. I don't know if he gets signed by the. Will he get signed by the CBA on top of missing his game checks?
Yes, you get fined you 100% get fined. There's fines for sure for missing games, especially if you're not injured.
Yeah, so that's going to be definitely a situation to monitor, especially if there are some leagues out there that have not drafted as of Tuesday at 8:15 p.m. We are September 3rd, all day. So if you haven't drafted yet, please be aware of the situation with Jamar Chase, because it's obviously going to affect Joe Burrow's stock. It's going to affect T. Higgins. It's going to affect pretty much the offense as a whole.
I saw on Reddit some people on our fantasy football Reddit thread. Some people got him in the 4th round.
Yeah, because
he's gonna
look. He's for sure missing week 1. That's
he's gonna play
without
a
doubt.
Sure.
But he's because if he doesn't play after week 8, it's not accrued as a full season. So he would play his 4th season again next year, and he wouldn't be eligible to play for the rest of the year after week 8 as well. Like you're gone. You can't come back, and your season doesn't count. So he'll be back. If he's not signed, he'll be back by week 7 or week 8, basically the last possible date. He'll get all the fines and then play out the rest of the season.
Nak, what's the parallel to this with what happened with Le'Veon Bell?
It's kind of the same thing, but Bell was franchise tagged, so he was technically not under contract. So he had a $15 million guaranteed contract he could sign, but he never signed it. So it got to week 8, and he didn't sign it. So the rest of the year was basically didn't count. So the Steelers could have, if they wanted to, decided to uh, basically tag him again for the same amount of money, but they decided not to tag him, and he became a free agent, and that's when he signed with the Jets. So he
Yeah.
lost out on $15 million guaranteed. He went to the Jets. He basically got more in guarantees, but the Steelers offered him more long term. But the Steelers are notorious to not guarantee money after year 2 of their contracts. The only exceptions to that were Big Ben and TJ Watt in their history.
With reason. So hopefully that Jamar Chase does not go down the same path as Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, just it's different because he's actually under
he's
contract.
On a contract still. Yeah. So that's something to keep an eye of, obviously, until more news comes out. Quickly on some injury notes. So Marquise Brown, he likely is out for the opener this week. Opener this Thursday, versus former team. He hasn't. I think he's dealing with a shoulder injury right now. It's still not
broken collarbone.
Yeah, collarbone. Thank you. Jaylen Warren, his injury seems to have subsided. He's been practicing. He's expected to play the opener. And I think those are the major injuries. CMC back at practice today, practicing in full. I know there was a bit of that calf strain that people were concerned about, but he's at 100%. Jahmyr Gibbs, just reading a headline right now, 98 to 100% after that hamstring tweak. So it looks like everyone is more or less healthy for week 1. And guys, Bush League Huddle is drafting tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Right after this recording, we're going to be hot and ready to go for the draft. So get ready, boys. It's going to be something.
My third draft of the day.
Yeah,
and my fourth in the last 2 days. I shout out to some of the partial breakaway boys yesterday. I was with them at Soccer IQ. We did a super flex draft with them, with Junior, Nick, and Vince. So it was really fun. So I feel warmed up in terms of my drafting. How much
of our advice did they use?
A lot, actually. A lot. I got sniped on DJ Moore. Kyle Pitts was sliding. I believe Kyle Pitts was sliding down, or there was some references of the fact that my disdain for Kyle Pitts. So it's good. We have some loyal listeners.
Yeah, we do have some loyal listeners. We do have some loyal listeners. That's a great segment, a great segue actually, because I want to touch on some fan questions that we've been getting on TikTok. So our loyal listeners are also expanding into the various social media outlets. So thank you very much. So there's some questions I want to hit on before we jump into the rankings for this week, our little segment of who we think is going to do well or bad. So there's one question on trading. It's from Caden. His handle is @nudes0. Just as I wrote that out, I'm reading it now for the first time. Caden, if you're listening, bud, we got to have a conversation about your handle, buddy. Oh boy. So it's from TikTok. He gave me his roster. He asked me about trades and all that stuff and everything about, trading players. But the question I want to bring to you guys is that, like, seeing as we've all been doing this fantasy thing for quite a while now, do you have any advice for new players on trading players, like on new fantasy players that are getting into this for the first time on trading players? Like typically, I guess, Raj, like how quickly do you wait to trade players from your team or to look to improve your team? Is it something that you
30 seconds after the draft?
Yeah, I guess it depends on per person.
Sometimes
right?
I'm not. I don't know if I would be the best person to answer this. I think I've gotten better in terms of my patience. Definitely, what I lean towards more is being patient. Waiting for at least 3-4 weeks before thinking of pulling the trigger. Because especially if you feel like you have a good draft and you're confident with the players that you have. Yes, if they started slow, you might feel the pressure to make a trade. But typically the good players, those, top round picks, they end up correcting themselves and having their really good years. And in my past, where I've been too trigger happy, and I've done this with like Joe Mixon, and I believe I did it with Justin Herbert a few times too, is you're just too trigger happy and you see that the first 3 weeks are going really slowly and you panic and you trade, basically accept any trade, and then like players take time to correct themselves. Players take time to kind of get used to the season with the way preseason, the preseason they don't hit anymore. preseason, they don't even play anymore. So it's normal that players take a bit of time. And in my past, I've done like 6-person trade, like 12-person trades, like basically trading the entire team. And
I've seen those trades, and those trades are a headache just to figure out
they're a
who's
headache
getting
to
who, to be
figure
honest with
out,
you.
and then you end up regretting it. So I would say like the biggest thing is just be patient and don't lowball. Don't be like a crappy trader. Don't offer crap, but at the same time, don't put your best foot forward immediately. See if you could negotiate a little bit.
Yep. Nike, what do you think?
I think it all depends on your record too, right? Like if you're 2-2 after 4 weeks, like there's no need to, start having a fire sale. Oh, your best players are not performing to their best abilities. Oh, well, I drafted, CMC in the first round, and he hasn't hit that 20-point game yet. Like maybe basically what you're doing is you're selling low to all these players, right? So you're just not getting the value in return to try to improve your team. So I think what Raj is saying is, yeah, you just gotta be patient. You just gotta let the board fly. If you're 0-5 after you start a season, then maybe it's time to try to make a move
There's
in
a
order
shakeup you
to,
have to do for sure.
yeah, of course, you try to improve your roster, but I mean your record most of the time will dictate if you have to make a trade or not. And like what Raj alluded to before, don't offer 2 bench players for a starter.
Yeah. If I could just add
Yep.
quickly, I know it seems obvious, but try not to trade the best player.
Yeah.
Like I used to, like back in like earlier on, I would trade my best player for kind of 2 really solid players, thinking, oh, I could do a 2-for-1, I get depth. It's the worst move you could do.
Yeah.
Like keep your studs.
Typically, I
Unless
always
unless like
try.
you said, unless all right, like I said, if you're 0-5 and that guy has to move in order for you to try to do something, it might be
More
the move
injury
to do.
filler, I
But
feel, but like
Yeah.
I'm not trading Christian McCaffrey for like for example, trade Christian McCaffrey for like Tony Pollard, and let's say I need like a wide receiver, Terry McLaurin or Chris Godwin.
No, you're just
no.
handicapping yourself in
You're
one
just handicapping
position.
yourself. Even if
Yeah.
they're having solid years, like I'd rather still have that Christian McCaffrey because I know the potential is so much greater.
No, but it is important. That is a good point, though. Like if you have Christian McCaffrey and let's say the second running back that you did draft happens to be outperforming his metrics, then you can actually have a conversation about, you know what, maybe I can trade Christian McCaffrey for a position of weakness that I have on my team. And it wouldn't be for Terry McLaurin and Tony Pollard. It would be for, a Tyreek
CD
Hill.
Lamb or Justin Jefferson.
Exactly. Right. So I think that's something else to be considered as well. Like if you have to look at your roster holistically and tell yourself like, okay, where am I really strong at? Where am I really weak at? How can I strengthen my weak part, like with whatever I have in my strength? And then you look at your positions for that too. And that comes down to also drafting properly as well. But you're not going to know those positions of strength or weakness until like a few weeks into the season. Like if there are guys out there that are listening, and I know that there are guys out there that are listening that trade on day one after they draft because those people are in our league. Hint, hint, Spiro. That's fine. I don't
Shots
operate that
fired.
way. Shots fired. He knows where I live. It's fine. Come at me, bro. It's typically like I like to wait and see what I have to know the value, because after you draft and after day one, like everyone is whatever value is perceived for them to be. It's only like after you get a little bit of a body of work and you decide like, you know what, I'm really not doing well over here. I'm really not doing well over there. So I think I think a little bit of patience is required. Next question we have is actually in regards to lineup questions. So this comes from Timmy Turner. Him too. It's his first year doing fantasy. So thanks, Tim, for. I hope I can call you Tim, Mr. Turner. Thank you
That's not his
for.
real name. There's
We
no
as
way
friends,
that's his real
man.
name.
Let's just assume it is, guys. Okay. Thank you. God, play along. It's his first year doing fantasy as well, and he's asking. He wants to know if he should start Caleb versus the Titans or Kyler versus the Bills. Knack, what do you think?
Man, I hate players that go across the country like that. They always tend to have mediocre games. Week one, look, they're traveling 3 different time zones. So I don't usually like that in terms of fantasy. Um, but also it's Caleb's first game. Are the Bears on the road, or is it or are they at Titans, or are they? I know the Bills are at home. Or Caleb? Is Caleb?
The Bears are home.
Okay, the Bears are at home. So he's got I guess he's got the home crowd, but if you have both, I'm starting Kyler Murray. And the reason behind it is Kyler Murray, as you probably heard in previous pods, I have him pegged for a top 5 finish this year in fantasy. I'm really high on Kyler Murray. He's got some weapons there now if he stays healthy, obviously. And Caleb is a rookie. What's going to be in the back of Caleb's mind all year is no Bears quarterback has ever thrown for 4,000 yards in their 100-plus year history. So I think that's going to be in the back of his mind. So I think he's going to come out struggling a little bit out of the gate. So I think Caleb is a good pick to have to start in fantasy. But week 1, no brainer. I'm going Kyler versus the Bills.
Roger?
Kyler as well. I don't know if I would trust, as much as I like Caleb Williams, and I think he's going to have a really good year. From a risk perspective, I'd rather just bet on Kyler.
It's a no-brainer for me, Kyler as well, even though Kyler is playing in Buffalo. And we all know how it is to play in Buffalo. Mind you, the weather is better too, but it's a no-brainer for me. Kyler is the way to go. I like Caleb, obviously, for a multitude of reasons there, but give me one or two, I'm going with Kyler 100%. So Timmy, Mr. Timmy Turner, hope you enjoy that answer to your question. We're going to move on, ladies and gentlemen, to a segment that we've been so excited to finally start covering, because it means that week 1 is around the corner and weekly fantasy is here and the schedule is starting and we're all super hyped about it. We're going to do some love hate for week 1. This segment's going to be a weekly segment. We're going to go over some players that we really, really like this week and some players that we really don't like this week based on their matchups. Starting us off, Raj, tell us who your love is this week.
Tank Dell for me. He recently came out and said, "Do I look like a Nathaniel?" Apparently, he's going to change his name to Tank, actually. So I'm loving that. And he's coming back strong. I believe it was a torn ACL last year, and he missed the last 4 or 5 games. Yep. They're facing the Colts. The Colts gave up the 3rd most TDs in the NFL of 20-plus yards last year. So they're very susceptible to the big play at the wide receiver position, and gave up the most 20-yard TDs from missed tackles as well. They didn't make much of a change in their secondary. It's a relatively young secondary. And amongst the fantasy pros consensus, 55 experts, they have him ranked 34th. So I think he's going to perform really well. I'm not really concerned about Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs. I think this defense is susceptible to the big play. So I like Tank Dell in that spot. He had 72 yards on 7 catches and a TD in their first matchup last year. So give me Tank Dell in that spot.
How are you feeling about the rest of the Houston pass catchers?
You know what? I think it's going to be tough to predict on a week-to-week basis. I think it's going to be matchup driven. I think Slowick, the OC, comes from the Shanahan tree. They're typically very matchup focused, so I think they're going to rely on what the defense does poorly and game plan alongst that. Plus, there's Joe Mixon as well. He could catch passes too. But more and more teams are running 11 personnel. The 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. And worst case, I think Tank Dell has 800, 900 yards. I think Diggs and Nico can quite easily get to 1,000. Think about it. CJ Stroud is going to get to 42, 43, 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards.
Are we sure about that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he got to 4,100 last year, and he's a rookie, right?
Yeah, I think he's good for 4,000 yards. To be honest with you, I think at minimum, I think that's his floor.
Exactly. So I think Collins and Diggs will get to 1,000. I think Dell will flirt with 1,000. Schultz will be around that 600 mark.
There's now more tape on him, right? Sophomore year, there's more tape. More defensive coordinators can scheme for him. I don't know. Everyone's penciling him in 42, 43. 4,300 yards in the NFL is a lot, man. That's a lot of. I don't know. That's
his.
I understand what you're saying, and it's not that I totally disagree. I wouldn't be shocked if he did it, but I'm saying everyone is. I feel like giving this guy his roses after a rookie season, and I think I personally think there's a little bit of a sophomore slump that comes in, and he's going really high on fantasy boards. I know we're kind of skewing away from the Tank Dell, but I think everyone is quick to give him his roses into 42, 43, 4,400 yards passing this year.
I think he's
He
being
answered
overdrafted in
everything
fantasy.
last year.
I think
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
don't
I think
disagree.
he's
He did
definitely
that.
overdrafted in fantasy because, like we've mentioned it before, there is no really rushing upside with him, right? He's a pocket passer and he's a very good pocket passer. But you add the extra weapon. He is a year older in the same offense. He's more acclimated to the NFL. I think him assuming that he's going to go for 4,200 yards is not. I want to give him a sophomore slump. I maybe might see that in touchdown regression a little bit.
But it's not
But
even just sophomore slump. Like defensive coordinators now have tape, right?
no, I agree with you.
No one had NFL tape on Stroud when he started, right? So
He
I'm
got
not saying
better as
he's a
the year
bad
went.
quarterback.
He got better as the year went on, and you have tape as of week 1, week 2, week 3. Like he was
Yeah, but it's
getting better.
different.
He hit his stride.
Tape is different when you have a whole offseason to scheme and to operate and to, you know what I mean? Like you have a really full body of work, you have a full season of work under your belt. So I don't know. I think he sees a little bit of struggles in year two. I'm not going to say he's going to fall off a cliff. Like he's still a elite quarterback, and it's for years to come. But I think he sees a little bit of a slump this year.
I can't wait for CJ Stroud to fall to Knack this year at the draft.
Just on one more thing on Tank Dell, were you like wide receiver what this week? Confidently.
So he's at consensus 34. I think he's WR2 this week, just based off the matchup.
So top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's a good matchup. I like that. Knack.
My love is Romeo Dobbs. That's who I'm going with this week. He's rated uh,
Wait,
as the
you mean Marvin Harrison Jr.?
no, I mean Romeo Dobbs.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Look, I know there's been a lot of talk too about which Green Bay wide receiver is the number one on the team, who's the X, who's the number one guy, and LaFleur. I know he throws up thinking about number one wide receivers and stuff like that, but I think it's Romeo Dobbs. I think he's the main guy there. There's a lot of talk about Watson too, who could take that spot, but the guy is just injured. He can't stay on the field, so I just don't trust Watson. Um, I think he has a great matchup this week versus an Eagles team who played really poor down the stretch last year, especially in the secondary. I know they drafted a few young corners, but again, they're rookies. And you have Darius Slay that's still there at he's 33 years old. He's getting old in age, and Ringo solid, but in his second year, so still very young. And I think this game could easily be a shootout in Brazil. I don't see it being a defensive struggle at all. So I think there's going to be a lot of points. And right now they have him. Fantasy Pros has him rated as wide receiver 56 for the week.
Hmm.
I'm very comfortable putting Dobbs in as a high-end flex play or borderline wide receiver 3 for week 1.
So they also I agree. Eagles' secondary was horrible last year. That's why they brought in Vic Fangio, new DC. So I think they're going to pressure less and play more cover too. I love Jaden Reed. I really like Dontavian Wicks. My thing with this wide receiver core, I would just avoid it for week 1 because we don't know how the routes run is going to look like. We don't know what the targets are going to look like. I say it in our group chat. It's a socialist wide receiver core. Like you don't know who's going to get the lion's share of the targets week over week. And for me to say week 1 to pick, I have Jaden Reed in 2 leagues and I'm not starting him yet because I have him more as like a flex play, like WR4. But I want to wait and see how the year materializes, or at least the first few weeks materializes, and see where I would peg him in my wide receiver grouping. So for me, I would draw caution to that. But personally, I think it sounds like Wicks is the guy because everyone was comparing him to. There's a lot of like Devontae Adams talk. Like he looks like Devontae Adams. He runs routes like Devontae Adams. But
You're not
whoever
going
you
to get.
talk to, it's different.
It's
Some thinks
different.
it's
Yeah.
Wicks. Some
Yeah.
thinks it's
Yeah.
Dobbs. Some think it's.
I just thought it was very high value.
Yeah.
WR 56 on the week. I think this game there's going to be a lot of points scored.
He's definitely a guy that I would stash for the entirety of the season. I like him as a flex play for right now for this week. It's super interesting. I don't disagree. I'm not a fan of Christian Watson, to be honest with you. I think Romeo Dobbs is the guy that we'll be getting from the Packers in general. But again, like I'm also if I had to start him, I would. Like I would try to shy away from it this week just to get more, just to know what's going on necessarily.
Like, Nak, you like him more than JSN or even Keenan Allen?
Keenan Allen is rated what? 50, just the over?
Keenan
Allen's 36, so maybe
that's 20 spots.
Yeah. Okay. So like,
no, and that's sitting on the value there.
Even
and I get it.
JSN,
It's a good spot.
like again, there's 3 guys still there, right? Like I understand. I think JSN is going to solidify the WR2 spot in Seattle by
Agree
year's
100%.
end, 100%.
Yeah,
Agree
totally.
100%. Yeah,
Lockett is still there. Like he's not just going to disappear, right? Like I know he's older too, but like he's hit Lockett and Metcalf are on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, and they like to run a lot. So like JSN's got to play himself on the field. They don't play too much 3 wide receiver sets, right?
Yes, they do. They play a ton, especially with Ryan Grubb. They're gonna mostly play
They
3
may,
wides
they may play more this year, but I'm saying
no, they will.
Dobbs,
That's what Ryan Grubb
Dobbs
did. That's what Ryan Grubb did in Washington. Like they had the 3 wide receivers there. Like they're definitely gonna play like 3 wide receiver sets.
I still think they lean on the run a little bit more, though.
For sure.
They're more run. They're more run heavy.
They will,
and that's why, like, again, wide receiver 56. I'm saying I'm not saying to slide him in as your WR1 top 10 potential, but I easily see him cracking the top 30 or 35 in week 1. I don't know. I just see it happening. Love, new contract. I don't know. I think they could feast on that Eagles secondary.
He could definitely be the wide receiver to own in that room. I don't disagree. I know he had a really strong finish last year too.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep this podcast rolling, this little love train going over here. My guy that I'm super high on this week actually is James Cook. I had him last year. I drafted him last year, and when the offensive coordinator changed, like he really took off. And this week they're starting off the Buffalo Bills starting off at home versus the Arizona Cardinals that finished last in rushing yards allowed per game in 2023. Typically, James Cook is being drafted right now as a mid-tier RB2 with some week-to-week upside. I think week 1 is that first week where he has that running back 1 upside. You kind of have to figure that, Josh Allen, there's a lot of unproven wide receivers on that team this year just because of the whole shakeup that happened in the offseason. And James Cook, he does pass catches in the backfield. He really does quite a bit. There is that issue of him not being there on third downs and not getting that goal line work. But from a PPR standpoint, I think James Cook can give you back some overall top 12 RB, top 10 RB numbers this week. He's going right now on Fantasy Pros as I think
12th.
So he's definitely there where I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes above some of those guys are rated above him. So he's definitely my love for this week, and going forward, I think he's a great play too. But now we're going to get into the not so fun part of the episode, guys. We're going to talk about the hates. We're going to talk about the guys that are matchups dependent, where we're not very excited about. We're not very optimistic about. Nak, I'm going to start off with you. Who is your guy that you're not super pumped up about this week?
So now it's time for Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, as I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the pod, again, it's a team going cross country, across three time zones. He is a rookie. Buffalo D, I know, is not what it used to be. They got a lot of guys let go last year, but they still have 2 stud corners on the outside in Bedford and Douglas. I think he's going to struggle, man. I think he's going to see some tight coverage, and right now he's going as he's ranked the top 13 in week 1. So I know we talked about how he was ranked high already in a fantasy setting. He's being drafted as high as the 10th wide receiver off the board. So we all agreed that it was a little bit high for Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think having a a top 13 finish is I really don't like it. I think he might even finish outside the top 20 in week 1. I think they may struggle a bit on the road.
So now you guys are down on Marvin Harrison.
This is a week to week
Not as a whole.
process,
This is a week
Roger.
one.
This
This is
is
a
week
week 1
to week.
segment.
Okay.
This
Do you
is
think?
week
Do you think
one.
Michael Wilson? Do you think Michael Wilson has a big week? I really like him.
You mean Greg Dortch?
It's funny how we talked about Greg Dortch that entire time. We completely forgot about Michael Wilson, who looked really good when he was healthy last year.
Yeah, Michael Wilson did look very good last year.
Yeah.
I think McBride has a good week. If someone's going to have a good week in that offense, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be McBride. I think it's going to be McBride because the corners on the outside are solid, but apart from that, they're a bit thin. So I think McBride is the beneficiary of that. He's going to see, his 8 to 10 targets for sure.
Because Milano got injured too, right?
Yeah, he's out for the year.
Out for the year. Or he could make it for the playoffs.
Maybe the playoffs, exactly. But so the middle is kind of, safeties too.
They lost a ton of safeties.
Yeah. Poyer is one name that
Hyde.
that left Hyde, Micah Hyde, that turned safety. So that middle of the field, the tight end, I think easily McBride sees 8 to 10 targets and has a
I like that one a lot.
Who's that linebacker that's out for the rest of the season?
Matt Milano.
Matt Milano. He's not starting either.
Like he's out for the rest of the season.
He's out for the season.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not. Just want to confirm I'm not crazy on that, right? So yeah, the whole middle of the field is going to be opening up for Trent McBride quite a bit. So I think that's a good call out too. Mind you, I wouldn't. I know he's a hate for you, Nak, and I don't disagree with your point. I would still start him, like unless you have other options out there too.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. He's a must start, especially where he's being drafted. I don't like him to put up his draft numbers.
Yeah, you don't like that matchup. I get it.
He's not putting up WR1 numbers, and that's where you're drafting him. Low end WR1, high end WR2. I just don't see it this week.
Yeah, so I got Aaron Rodgers for me. So this is more specific. This is actually very applicable for a 2 QB super flex league, which is the one that we're in, where we have to start 2 QBs per week, and typically Aaron Rodgers would be an ideal QB2 with like that weekly QB1 upside. But the people that made the NFL calendar are very cruel, and he's playing his first game at San Francisco versus the same defensive player that broke his Achilles or popped his Achilles last year. But apart from that, like, it's a tough defense, San Francisco. So I'm not expecting him to put up those weekly the quarterback 2 numbers. I know in my super flex league that I'm in, I have Jalen Hurts, I have Aaron Rodgers, and I have Matthew Stafford. I'm starting Stafford in my flex spot over Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think he'll have. I think it's going to be a very tough game for him. He's away. I know Aaron Rodgers is future first round, first ballot Hall of Famer and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I would rather stay away from it this week and play another option if you have it. He could very well finish outside of like QB 25 this week, and that's no discredit to Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. It's going to be a tough game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low scoring game. The Jets versus the Niners is going to be very defensive heavy. Even the Niners too, their offense might take a little bit of time for them to get rolling. Just after Trent Williams obviously not playing or not practicing for a little while, and even Brandon Aiyuk too, right? So, it could take a few weeks for that offense to get humming. So I wouldn't be surprised if, in general, that's a fairly low scoring game.
That's a brutal defense to like Bosa.
Dude. Like, it's
Turner. Is Greenlaw back, or is he back from the injury from the Super Bowl?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways,
I don't think so.
I agree with you.
That was an ACL tear, right? Like right in the championship game.
Yeah, he's not playing to start.
Yeah, he's probably not.
Brutal defense. I agree with you. Like, I would take a wait and see approach with Rodgers. At least wait 1 week and see how he fares. And
and that's also like, again. Yeah, obviously. But now it's probably like, structurally put together with like God knows what, and it's never going to break out for this. Like
ayahuasca juice.
I think honestly, both sides is going to be a tough game. Those are probably top 2 defenses in the NFL if we really look at it.
Yeah,
I think it's a very low scoring game in general. So I think it's not even like, I want to see where Aaron Rodgers is in his rehab, and he's also 40 years old. He missed a whole entire year. I'm sure he's healed, but I want to see how he does back in an NFL game, right? I just wanted to, I wanted to see, I want to see how he does and how he plays football. Like he may not have a bad game per se, but I think to Fab's point, it is going to be low scoring on both sides of the ball. So it's maybe if you do have another option like he does with Matthew Stafford, I'm definitely comfortable sliding in Matt Stafford for Rodgers in week one, and then you at least you could kind of see where how he plays and go from there.
Plus, even Matt Stafford, they have a very, very nice matchup versus Detroit. Even though
Rematch.
even though Detroit's at home, they're playing in a dome. It's going to be a potential shootout. That was another like that. Those were two other guys that I had as potential loves this week. To be honest with you, like Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, like it's QB1 upside this week for those two guys. To be honest,
I just want to piggyback what Nax said, and I agree on both sides. It's going to be tough, and I didn't mention. I'm not going to mention him in my next portion of the who we hate, but Aiyuk. Aiyuk is a risky play as high as he would be ranked.
100%.
Like no practice.
Yep.
Sauce Gardner, Robert Saleh said this year or during the offseason that he's looking to shadow Sauce Gardner more. Typically in the Jets defensive scheme, he's likely to play on one side of the field versus shadowing a specific receiver. Patrick Surtain does that more often. Sauce Gardner is more of like similar to Darrelle Revis, play one side of the field. So if they're going to shadow him more, we might see Sauce Gardner on Brandon Aiyuk, and we know how good Sauce Gardner is. He's one of the best in terms of pure cover corners in the league. So that would be one guy I would maybe avoid as well.
I don't even, now that you mentioned that, I don't even think Aiyuk plays 60% of the snaps on Sunday.
It's a good point.
If I'm being honest,
they might have to ease him in a little bit, right?
They said so. It's interesting. They said CeeDee Lamb's a full go. I was reading somewhere that he's gonna be a full go in terms of like
they don't have anyone else. Though.
Yeah, they don't have any. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So, my hate for this week, it's an easy one. We talked about this when we did our AFC West show, and over the course of the last few weeks, I've become a bit more optimistic about them. But for week one, I would say avoid the Broncos pass catchers, avoid Bo Nix, simply because rookie QBs are 3-17 since 2010, since they go to Lumen Field, which is where the Seahawks play, where the 12th man is. So already Bo Nix, rookie QB. Cortland Sutton, who I actually quite like this year, I would avoid him as well. Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin as well. I just think that atmosphere, the 12th man, Reek Woolen, Weatherspoon, Byron Murphy, Mike McDonald is the new head coach coming from the Baltimore Ravens, where he was a defensive mastermind. I love that defense. I think they're going to fly around all around the ball, but I would definitely avoid. If you had to, I mean, you shouldn't even have been in the position to start any Broncos. But if you are, similar to what Fab said, in a 2 QB league where you might need Bo Nix or Cortland Sutton or Javonte Williams, I would avoid all of them.
What a tough place for a rookie QB to start his NFL career, eh? Lumen Field,
great atmosphere. That
12th
place,
man, like it is going to be rocking because I don't know. There's optimism with the Seahawks. I find this year there's a lot of buzz around them.
Yeah, a ton of buzz.
Yeah,
it's gonna depend on Geno Smith, right?
So then our Seattle offense as a whole, they're a plus play for you this week?
I mean, Surtain is a beast, man. So like, depending on, and he's like I just said, he's one, like, who knows who he'll shadow. It's either DK or JSN. I would think maybe it'd be DK. He tends to shadow the top wide receiver.
The alpha.
But I mean, you're starting DK.
100%.
We just mentioned JSN. I think a lot of people are high on him. Walker as well. So,
are you starting JSN as a wide receiver 3 comfortably this year?
Not yet. I haven't been 2 leagues. Not yet. I'm gonna
okay, as long as we agree there.
Yeah, he's going in like the 10th, 11th round, right? So like at that point, you're not really starting anyone from there. That's more depth.
He's a bit of a stash for me. And it's stash is probably not even the right word. I think he's going to start off as like a wide receiver for like a depth play, but I do think that he can pop this year and come back with like end of the season weekly wide receiver 3 numbers. I like the cut of his jib, as they say. So like I think
you like the cut of his Njigba.
What the hell, bro? It's a fantasy friendly. This is a PG-13 podcast, Roger.
Jeez.
What did I say?
Anyways, we're going to move right on. I think we have
Jigba's in Paris.
Oh, Jesus. Apologies, mind you. Listen, we do have one of our listeners called Nudes that have this handle on TikTok, so I don't think it's so bad. Yeah. So hate Broncos wide receivers and Bo Nix just for this week, though. We'll tune in for next week to see if we're still feeling the same way. Raj, would you want to talk about the Chiefs and the Ravens real quick? The Thursday night game.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because obviously they played each other in the AFC Championship game. There was a lot of stuff about just how Todd Monken called that game. Lamar threw 37 passes. They only ran 16 times. I am convinced that they're going to just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, kind of like to prove it. Hey, like we made a mistake during the playoff game. We should have ran the ball way more often. Kelsey was amazing last year during the playoffs. During that game, I think he had 11 catches, 11 targets, 115 or so yards, 1 TD. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares against Kyle Hamilton, probably one of the best safeties in the league. So I think it'll be a really interesting game. We'll see how. And you know what's interesting? Mark Andrews, I think he had a motorcycle or some type of car accident, and they said, I think John Harbaugh was quoted as saying he doesn't have a scratch on him. That was like the kind of the quote, but he hasn't been at practice. So I don't know what's happening on that front.
Yeah,
it's been really, really weird. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm really interested to seeing. But yeah,
Mark Andrews also, in general this year like concerns me. Like Isaiah Likely really came on last year, and there's always been that injury history with him. And I know a lot of teams have already drafted most likely, right? And except for like a few of them, they're going to probably draft tonight and tomorrow, just like us. But Mark Andrews is one guy that I am fading in drafts right now, and even picking up Likely later on as if I have spots on my bench could be super interesting. But Mark Andrews is not, I don't think he's. I think his best years are behind him.
Well, he was playing really well. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to say, I know you mentioned a lot about the Ravens and what they've got to prove, but on the other side, the Chiefs lost last year after winning the Super Bowl, right? That was the first home team to lose since I believe the Saints did it after they won their Super Bowl the following season. And also, Travis Kelce didn't play in that Week 1 game against the Lions, so I think they have something to prove as well. As coming out Super Bowl champions, you're expected to show up and show out and really win the game. So I think, as much as I know what you said, I definitely agree with you with the Ravens. That game was terrible. 16 runs is inexcusable, really. For
you
a
have
Ravens
Lamar
team
Jackson
that runs the ball. Yeah, like I don't. But you had running backs too. Like you ran all
exactly.
8 rushes, I think, each half. Right? I think it broke down that way, which was crazy to think about. But I think the KC still has something to prove this year as well. That they don't have that hangover that they did last year.
Plus, Roger, I'll let you go in a second. Plus, KC's at home, and we just talked about how hard it is for like you to play in Seattle. It's even harder for you to play in Arrowhead. So it's going to be they're going to be in front of their fans, and I really want to see what Xavier Worthy does Week 1. Like I know we've been talking about him all off season and everything like that, but I'm very curious to see how he's going to like the type of how he's going to roll in that offense.
That's going to be before I jump. I have a question for Nak, but that's going to be an interesting kind of wide receiver core to keep track of. I drafted Hollywood Brown in one of my leagues just as a stash play. You guys would be really proud of me because I drafted him, put him on IR, then picked up my defense, and I still didn't draft a kicker. But Rashee Rice, obviously, Travis Kelce. But Nak, what do you think of the impact of the Ravens not having Patrick Queen? What do you think that'll do?
Honestly, they paid Roquan Smith, right? So I think that's the reason why they thought they could get rid of him, or he was, he was a luxury that they didn't need, especially at the price point, especially when they had to pay. I think Roquan is over that 20 million threshold, and Queen left money on the table actually when he signed with Pittsburgh. He mentioned, I think he's making 15 a year with Pittsburgh, so. Maybe if Baltimore would offer him more, but I think paying 2 middle linebackers almost $40 million a year makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
to me, it's especially not at that position. Like it's
a bit
just
of a luxury that a lot of people can't afford.
Yeah, exactly. So
teams
I think
haven't run 2 middle linebackers in almost like 15 years, man.
yeah,
Like,
and they spent draft capital getting Roquan Smith there, right? So I think they protected that as well, thinking, okay, we're gonna have to sign one, and we knew one of them was gonna have to be let go. I'm sure they tried to maybe lowball him a bit and tried to get him there for 12, 13 million, but again, middle linebackers are not the type of people that you're really throwing the book at unless you're, a Fred Turner or, a Roquan Smith type guy. So
yeah.
look, maybe it impacts them a little bit, but I don't know. I think their defense is always solid. They always find a way to figure it out, finish in the top 10 in defense every year. As much as I hate this, it pains me to say this as a as a Steelers fan, but no, I don't think it disrupts them too much. I think the Steelers benefit, like they've been looking for that guy since Shazier has left, right? I know they're a little bit different player, but that quarterback in the middle of the field, they even traded up for Devin Bush a few years ago, and
Yeah.
that didn't work out. So they've been looking for someone. So hopefully they found one in Patrick Queen. So I think I gotta love that we took it out of the division, right? So
Yeah, that's a big get. That's a very big get. It's typically you don't see a lot of those signings or those trades happening within divisions, but that was definitely an addition by subtraction for Pittsburgh for sure. Boys, episode 1 is in the books. Real quick, I want to shout out to all of our social medias. Guys, if all of our wonderful and loyal listeners, please follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Twitter, on YouTube. You can listen to this wonderful podcast with our silky smooth voices on Spotify and on Apple Music. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Quickly, just want to go over what to expect for the weeks to come because it's season is here, ladies and gentlemen. Like we mentioned before, this is super exciting times right now. We're going to be obviously covering love hate every single week, give you guys some prime information on who we like and who we don't like based on their matchups. We're going to be going over some spicy hot waiver takes for all of you fab budget aficionados out there. We're going to be looking right at you and telling you exactly how much of a percentage you guys and gals, excuse me, we don't have the French Channels podcast. You people need to put on those appropriate individuals. And it's going to be super exciting. We'll obviously look at recap and news and bring on some guests and just stick around with this fun ride. We've been doing this right now for 22 episodes. We're not taking off any of the chains. We're just going full steam ahead. Last thing, if you're listening and you haven't already signed up to our Bush League Huddle Survivor League, you have a few days left before the season starts. So move your rear end. Let's go. It's $20 per entry. Winner
one
takes
to be
all.
exact.
Exactly. Winner
One day
takes.
left.
Okay, there it is. We got take as many entries as you want. And last thing, guys, happy draft day. Kevin Costner would be proud.
Woo!
Let's go. Let's go.
Amazing, Fab. Can I cue the music now?
100%. Thanks, everyone.
Put this on the bloopers.
No, I like it. It's more organic. It's good.
I like it.
I got some new Giants apparel coming in, so you know what it is.
From where?
Peace, thingamajiggy. Peace Collective. Peace out.
You didn't tell me. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.